Okay, one of the things we got to do to the door to get access to the screws to bolt the hinges on is take this piece out here that Rob's got loosened up. It's a forward guide for the window, and he'll pull that out of there. Okay, and then we're going to open up the door so we can see where the fasteners were that held that in place. There's one, and then the other one is down here.
See them on this side here.
Okay, so that the door stays in the right place. We got the door closed, and the hinges are still attached. And Rob's going to weld a little tab of metal in here to hold the door where it belongs. Same thing down at the bottom. He's going to weld in a little piece of metal, and then he'll be able to take the hinge bolts out, so that the door, this way the door stays right where it belongs. Okay, Rob's welded a little tab on up here to keep the top of the door in the correct position before he takes out the hinge bolts. And he's welded on a bit of a tab down here at the bottom of the door to keep the door in position. Now he's taking the bolts out from the hinges. Here's one of them's already out, still one to go here. And so he's taking the bolts out. One of the bolts goes in from the inside. This one back here goes in from the inside, so you have to take the trim piece off from inside. You could do that before you actually weld the door closed. But Rob didn't think of that.
No, Dave didn't think of that.
Yeah, don't pay any attention to that guy in the background. He don't know what he's talking about. Anyway, we're so we got to get back in there and do that. On the other side, we'll do it correctly. Okay, Rob's got the hinges out. You can see where the hinges were bolted on. And then Dave's going to stick the new hinge, the vertical door hinge, up in here. Okay, now that's basically where it's going to go. We're going to be trying to get the axis of this pin straight up and down. And we're going to be, if you take a look in here, you can see that the hinge mounting pad up in here doesn't match up with the door. And then down at the bottom, it doesn't match up with the door, the holes that are in the door. Up here at the top, one of these holes comes close to the Fiero hole, this hole right here. The other one is way off. You can see the hole over here on this, the threaded. Let me see if I can see it. You can see the threaded hole back over here, and the hole that's in the hinge is here. And then going down towards the bottom, there's a step in the Fiero chassis from top to bottom, and this is stepped in down here at the bottom. And Rob will have to put weld in a steel bracket on the back of the hinge to make up for this difference, so the hinge stands straight up and down.
But neither of the bolt holes line up.
And neither of the bolt holes line up, but Rob will take care of that. He's got experience doing that. Pull it back out, Dave. See this pad right here where this hinge bolted on, and the pad down here on this hinge, this one's further in on the car than the top one is. There's a step right here. There's a step where it goes down in here. So there'll have to be some steel on the back side of the hinge to make that fit. Back on the videos, Rob has the hinge stuck up in here, and he's got the one hole in it. Dave was holding the hinge up in there. Right now we got one bolt going through the one hole. And I'm going to take a real close look inside here. And you can see these holes don't match up. And down here at the bottom, these are not going to match up. Kind of hard to see in there, but it's in there. And I wanted to point out that the welded tabs are on, the hinges are off, and this door is just solid. I can pull on it, and the door's not going to go anywhere. And it's going to stay just like that till we're all done with the hinge. Then we'll cut those tabs off, and the door is going to hinge right where it belongs. All right, so now we're looking at the hinge. We're looking at where Rob is right now. This is a pretty complicated process, so you're going to have to pay attention. The bracket, this arm part of the hinge assembly, we had to take off. It's going to have to come off, and because the mounting pads that are on the ends of it, these pads don't match up to Fiero doors, and we're going to be putting a piece in there that matches up and uses the original screw holes that are in the Fiero doors. And we also have, I put in a screwdriver here to prop this piece back where we want it. That's just so that I don't have to hold it and try to shoot video at the same time. We still have the one bolt in the top. And this is where the hinge is going to be, and you'll see that arm that I was just showing you is cut off of here. And Rob's got this scribe now. he's going to be cutting, if you can, I hope you can see those lines, they're going to be cutting right down here and then over, so they take off this bottom thing, because we have to make that, you can see the hinge stands out. See, I can get my finger behind the hinge here. That's going to have to be spaced out. There's going to be a piece of steel plate that's going to bolt on to the chassis here, and then it's going to weld to the back side of this area where he's cut this off. And I know we cut the arm off. We are going to be reusing this arm, but it's actually going to be flipped over the other direction. And there's going to be new pads welded on to match up with the hinge holes that are in the door itself. Okay, to extend the hinges out, to extend the hinge bracket out, we have to butt weld a piece of steel on it to get the screws further away from the pivot point. And what Rob has set up here is he has a piece of metal cut that he needs to put in, and he's got bevel cut, pretty good sized bevel cut on both the